PR Connections Radio presents.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode of our podcast. We are thrilled to have with us a very special guest who has been a remarkable contribution in their field of expertise with a wealth of knowledge and experience. Our guest has been inspiring countless individual to pursue their passion and make a difference in the world. From their groundbreaking work in the world of finance and their unique perspective on life. Our guest promises to share valuable insight and engaging stories that will leave you inspired and informed. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming our esteemed guest to the show, Mr. Kyrie Wright.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming into the show and making time, Kyrie.
Thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be on.
So, this is really gonna be a interesting conversation, as we always have, um, interesting discussion when it comes to business, finance, and overall life. So I think this is just going to be um, a lot of the people would learn from all our conversation. I always wish, we can record our conversation and share it with our, schoolmates and
Yeah.
teachers and how far we've come. So yeah, I mean, today I just want to start with a question of like, how are you doing? How's everything?
So everything is good. First of all, I want to kind of introduce myself. I'm Kyrie, like you said. I'm
Mm.
29, just turned 29, March 24th of this year. From Las Vegas, Nevada. Always had the mindset to, have my own business and, help others. So, I wanted to just first introduce myself. What was the question, Janine?
Now, how are you doing today? I know you just had your move from Las Vegas to Houston.
Yeah.
How's that going for you?
So I've been in Houston since March 9th. So
Mhm.
it's been good. It's been good. When I got here, uh, picked up KJ. We went and saw Creed 3 on my birthday. Went and ate some food afterwards. Came back to my new apartment and we just enjoyed each other. We did what we've always done since he came out the womb. We've always been like best friends. So we just
Yeah, he's definitely a little Kyrie.
yeah.
He's the
He's
copy paste of Kyrie.
literally. And he's like a little man. Like he wears a size 9.5 and 10 in men's.
Oh my God.
I'm size 12. I'm 29. He's 11.
He's gonna catch up soon. Like
He
that's
gonna
how
catch up.
my niece. My niece is also. I'm 4'11". She's 4'10" now. So and she's 11. I'm 29. So
These genes, these kids got some different genes now. I don't know if it's the food, the water, or the air. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
yeah, my niece is half Mexican. So. And half Filipino. So I think they definitely got that in Eric's side. So when in being in Houston, did you meet more people there when it comes to what you're doing now and being in finance and advocating for people our age and setting up their financial um opportunities for the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually doing some side work here in Houston too. Some pest management work. So I got a team of guys here. We've talked about them trying to buy different financial products.
Mhm.
The banking system is kind of undergoing a reformation. So I've been reaching out with different banking, small banks here, to help them buy BOLI, which we'll get into later. But that's bank owned life insurance plans. So I've been definitely networking with people in corporations, banks. Like I said, I got a team of guys here of like 20 that I've been talking to about what I do, what I can provide. And I also just got my hands on some brand new software that just pretty much helps the process for the client and myself to be able to purchase the right products to be able to set up their financial, house essentially.
Mhm. And how long you been doing this? I know I've known you doing this for like maybe 2 3 years, but did you? It might be longer than that, right?
Oh no, you're right, Janine. It's about the so I got licensed June 2020.
Mm-hmm.
June 2020. And yeah, since then, so going on 3 years now. Actually a good friend of mine, Brad Alcazin, he actually um he actually took me to a convention that the IMO, which is an insurance marketing organization, called Family First Life, but they were having like a convention for the company, and he took me to that, and they were kind of going over like anything life insurance related. They were going over like leads that the company actually or the IMO actually provided for you. So when he took me to see it, I didn't pull the trigger and then start studying for my licenses at that time, because I was doing a bunch of other things. But one summer, which was like 2019, like the end of 2019, he called me and said, "Bro, I just made $4,000 in 25-30 minutes." I said, you didn't scam anybody, did you?" Like, I was joking because like he's a God fearing man. He
You're
does.
like, do I have to visit you in jail or what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm scared. I'm like, bro, I don't know. I'm asking questions like, you didn't scam anybody, right? And then,
Mm-hmm.
but he knew I was joking because he comes from a God fearing family,
Mm-hmm.
that has accumulated success from helping people get to where they're trying to get to. So, I'm like, bro, break it down to me. Break it down, start to finish. How did you make 4 racks, bro, in 25-30 minutes? Because at the time I was doing pest control work. And to make $4,000, you have to put in at least 80 hours plus, like plus. So I'm just trying to like scale, what he did in that time frame without lifting a finger from what I do from, blood, sweat, and tears. So he said that there was this woman named Miss Janice, and he said Miss Janice had a mortgage, and Miss Janice owed a balance on her home. So
Mm-hmm.
Janice sent in a request to our office to
Mm-hmm.
get mortgage protection. And what that is let's just say Miss Janice has a husband or a kid or anybody who would be left after something would happen to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Miss Janice sent in that request to put something in place that would help pay off the mortgage or their remaining balance if something were to happen to her. So what my guy Brad did was he went to her home, he sat down with her, and he did a FNA, which is a financial need analysis. FNA. So when he did the financial need analysis, he pretty much, was trying to figure out her financial situation, right? For one, to see, what's her cash flow like? Are there any assets, right? And also to see, how much is the loan on the home. So after he did the financial needs analysis, he came up with the figure of how much was left on the loan. He didn't really go into detail about the exact amount, but what he did was he utilized a financial product which is called term life insurance. And what he did was he quoted based off her health, her age, he pretty much came up with a quote for how much in coverage she would need to purchase to pay off the loan if something were to happen to her. So her husband and her kids could keep the home and not have to foreclose on it. So he said he sat down with her for 30, 45 minutes, and then he wrote her this policy that essentially, if something were to happen to her, would pay off the mortgage and her kids and her husband could keep the home. So once he like told me that, I'm like, oh yeah, send me all the training material you got. I'm diving in, and I kid you not, I was I was at a phase of just starting the pest control too at that time. So I was literally I was studying for two things at once. I'm studying like for my pest license, but I'm also trying to study to get this life insurance license and health insurance license to be able to help people or advise people on how to set up, these kind of policies. So I locked in. It took me like 2 weeks to read through the whole study material because the IMO, Family First Life, they paid for my pre-licensing, which was like my actual course. So
Nice.
once they covered the course, I sat down at the table, read through, studied. After that, I had to take a state exam. So I ended up flying back home to Vegas because I was like, you know what, I need to just dive in. Like this just needs to be like what I'm going to do because I feel like I'm helping people and I'm getting paid to do it, which is a win-win for everybody. So I flew back home to Vegas and I just locked in. And then June 2020, I actually took my test and I got my license. Um, I come from a background of a single mother. My mom raised, my sister Kiera. She raised Kiera and my two younger brothers and myself by herself.
Yeah.
When my dad got murdered, because he was from a notorious gang in Las Vegas, Nevada called the Donna Crips. So there was a store that a lot of the Donna Crips or other members would go up to, and they called it stop and kill. Because like you literally would go up there to buy some chicken or get some gas or some gum or something. But if you had affiliations or if somebody believed you had affiliations, you ran the risk of being killed right there. It was literally called stop and kill for that reason. So the industry really stuck with me and it hit me, and I really hold it dear to my heart because my mom and my father had a disagreement. It was a very heated disagreement. And my father, like I mentioned, who was in a notorious gang, down the street Crips in Las Vegas, he went up to the store. And I don't know what he was buying at the time, whatever, but when he went up there, there was a rival gang member who saw him and shot him in the stomach and killed him. My dad died in the store right there on the spot alone. The coroner had to come and get him from the store. So when he passed away, I was young at the time, but I do know like he had a funeral, right? But the thing about it is that he didn't have any protection that he owned where my family was a beneficiary. See what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because how life insurance works is, you go to the company, you say, hey, I want to apply for $100,000 for my kids' tuition or to pay off the mortgage, how we said at first, right? So, he didn't go through that process, but I believe my grandmother, which was his his mother at the time, I think she had like $5,000 or something on because it's like 96. So the funerals were like not as much as they are now due to like inflation and all these other factors. But she didn't have any coverage, or he didn't have any coverage himself on himself. But his mom had it on him because he was in gang activities, right? So
Yeah.
um I do this and I do it with a passion because I know how it feels to wake up one night and you're just a kid and your mom tells you your dad was just murdered. And since I'm, thinking back, Janine, right? Um, I don't actually remember the night in detail. I just remember the feeling of like I lost something. It's never coming back. And we don't know who just took what belonged to me and my family. That's all I could, like recollect as far as like the emotions. But
Mm-hmm.
so my mom, she felt like the store owner did a injustice by protecting his life and other people's lives because, like I mentioned, that store was known for people coming there and being killed or being robbed or something happening. So there was an extensive call log to Metro Police Department about activity that was going on at that store.
At that store.
So my mom, having studied the law and having done different paralegal things, she knew that it was illegal for him to have had that extensive call log and not have any security there to protect shoppers or customers or people coming in to stock the store up, different things like that. So once my mom sued the store, they settled out of court, and my mom wanted the money to go towards me and my sister because my dad being gone, there was no income to help her take care of us, right? And due to the laws, she couldn't get the money directly and give it to us. So what the owner had to do was he had to put in a insurance claim with his insurance that insured his store for things like this, things of this dynamic. So once he put in the claim, my mom and the lawyers and the insurance company all sat in this room and they said, okay, since Kiera Wright and Kyrie Wright are just minors or adolescents, what we're going to do is we're going to put, because I believe she settled for $40,000 total, and it would be divided by 2 with my sister and myself. So since we were minors and adolescents at that time, the store owner, insurance company, which was Fidelity Guarantee Investment Group, so big company, always on TV, everybody sees them. Once they settled, since we were minors, they have to put it inside of an annuity. Fidelity and Guarantee, which is one of my carriers I represent, ironically, they helped him purchase an annuity on our behalf. So instead of being sued, getting a settlement, and just paying us a check, he put it inside of an annuity, which is a life insurance investment product that a person could pour money into for X amount of time. There's an interest as far as like what you earn on your money in there, right? And then the company that structured the annuity, they would pay out sums of money at different intervals. So my sister and I were eligible for our first annuity check at 18. So as soon as we hit 18, March 24th, there was a check at the house by March 30th. So that was kind of like, now that I'm older, I'm like, I don't want to say my dad being murdered was kind of like destiny, because I don't want to that extreme, but I almost feel like it kind of is, because of the fact that an annuity product, which is a product that I advise people to purchase, which helps set up future income down the line. So essentially the annuity, I don't want to say it replaced my dad, but it replaced a percentage of his income since he was murdered in Vegas.
I mean, there's, since he was the main provider, there's a lot of, even before you were 18, there's, food to put in the table, bills, energy, mortgage. And I mean, it's great to have this plan. And like when you hit 18, if you want to go to college and you need that monthly income, you have that check that comes in every month. And how long you're gonna get that?
So the annuity check was good for 4 years. So like I mentioned, my mom and him settled. So the insurance company, the lawyers, my mom and the store owner, they all settled for 40,000. So it would be split up in a 4-year span. So from 18, 19, 20, 20. So I would say 5 years. 5 years we got 4 years, because 4 times 5. So for 4 years we got 5,000 every birthday. So from 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, we got 5,000 every single birthday. It was in the mail literally less than like a business week from our birthdays, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But did you feel like when this, first of all, I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sure it was very hard for you growing up without a dad and can never be replaced, any money and any type of, but it's great that your mom went in this direction of just, I don't need the money now. I'm getting it for my kids, and this is for my kids, and it's their right to have some kind of support, especially after 18. You're
Exactly.
graduating in high school. That time you're thinking, where are you gonna go? That's the time you basically start life. So
Literally,
just to have
literally.
comfortability to have that money and have time to think what direction you're gonna take. Having that experience, did you like, what did you learn on, because you have a kid. I know that you have a kid now, little Kyrie, I call him. um, what are the precautions that you're taking now, and
Hmm.
the precautions that you would like other people to learn? People are our age are having kids, getting married, and
Hmm.
what do you think? Because nothing is promised. As you always say this, I remember being in high school. You were like, I don't know, Miss McGee class or something. You're like, nothing is promised, only death is promised. I'm like, oh my god, this guy is so depressing.
Man, it was just it was just reality.
And it's
Hmm.
just kind of crazy that you got, but I didn't think about it. Now that I
Hmm.
think about it,
Hmm.
there's
Hmm.
a reason why you were saying that, and then
Hmm.
you end up in this, in the industry that you're in now. But
Absolutely.
coming back to my question, like, what are the precautions that you're taking now, and what do you think advise, or you can advocate for people our age, especially with those with the family?
The first thing I can advocate: don't join gangs. It's going
Okay,
it's going to take you
let
two
me write
places.
that down.
It's going to take you two places. It's going to take you two places. Two places. The first thing I'll advocate is don't join a gang.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to end up two places: dead, 6 feet deep, or in the penitentiary, and your life is gone. People will move on from you. So you lose your life literally over an area that's owned by the state or the government that your mom don't even own, that you don't even own. So you're trying to claim a block or a set or a land of area that you don't even own. I can understand if you're trying to protect the land that you own, you had the title for, you're trying to make sure like your family could, they're safe, and then somebody comes on the property trying to, that's different. But we don't own this land. And not only that, there's just no common sense to even be putting yourself in those predicaments. So that will be the first thing I would advocate, and why I've never joined gangs. And I've had a lot of people, family, friends, who were very gang affiliated. I never crossed that line. I never walked into that, just because I already saw firsthand what it's going to end like. So to answer your question, that would be the first thing I can advocate is first of all, not joining gangs. And the second thing is knowing how to walk away from situations, even if you're not in the gang. If it's getting heated, you know knowing how to just walk away from the situation, because when egos get heightened and they get bruised, the ego tries to protect itself, and people express that protection in a lot of the wrong ways, which could be, fighting, killing you, or anything like that, right? So that could be the next thing, is having more patience and knowing how to walk away from heated situations that could end in somebody getting hurt. I believe, I don't want to say the third most important, but the third thing I've learned is that anything can happen in life. The people who you have close to you, or who you see every day, your coworkers, teachers, your
Yeah.
kids, listen, They can be gone like that in the blink of an eye. Gone. No logical reasoning. They could be gone. So that being said, I guess the fourth, right? I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna. The
Yeah.
fourth I can say would be financial literacy. Having the proper financial literacy, right? And you know, if you weren't raised on that, because my mom, she really didn't. She taught us how to be God fearing men and how to be good people, but she never really had that financial literacy to pass down to us to the point where thank God my friend Brad introduced me to life insurance in the ins and outs. So now I got that literacy. But um the fourth thing I learned from his death is having financial literacy. My father had no financial literacy. He had street literacy.
Mhm.
But street literacy can't take care of your family if something were to happen to you. So I believe, if you don't have, I was told we don't know what we don't know. So you not knowing certain things, you don't know where to go get the information sometimes. And
Yeah.
you're stuck in old patterns and old ways because you don't know what you don't know, but you don't know where to go to get the information for what you don't know.
Yeah, but I also believe if you know, if you're asking all this question in your head, like let's say, how can I protect my family, or you know, everything has a, there's YouTube, there's always Google search, or
I
we have,
agree.
you can now everything is public information. If you have the questions in your head, all you have to do is type it in Google or YouTube and see a step by step how to get it done.
Janine, you hit the nail on the head because he was 23, but I'm pretty darn sure that he's probably heard, seen a commercial or something about life insurance. I think a lot of times people, I guess another thing I learned is responsibility. Be responsible. I know for I don't want to put it on him, but like how you said, I'm pretty sure because even though like you're not licensed, Janine, you know about insurance, you know about the different components that we're going to get to in a minute about how to utilize the vehicle. So it's
Mhm.
like I can't, you know, I don't want to sound harsh, but I learned that I got to be real. I can't give him the benefit of the doubt. I feel like it had to have come across, his awareness at least once or twice or more.
Yeah, because it's getting flagged, like insurance is getting flagged left and right. I just don't think, like right now, our day and age, this you're talking about maybe 90s, right? Your dad was,
Yes, yes, yes.
so like the difference on like that time and our time now, like right now, stability, happiness, self-care, financial stability, like I think that's what the most important, especially with millennials. Like we don't have to be so rich, right? But we want to make sure that our family and people
Exactly.
who we care about is protected regardless of what happened, because you don't take the money in the grave, but when you pass,
Mm,
your pain stops. You transfer that pain to the
right,
person that is left in earth. So, and they will continue to live like that and have this void. So
right, right.
I believe like that wasn't, this is why it's so important for me to always have this conversation with you, because I always told you I'm always getting educated from it, and there's always ways to learn. And just me and you conversating, like we can talk for 2 hours, more
Literally,
often,
literally, literally.
without even thinking about the time that we've been talking. But like I learned so much on just like how having your experience and your background. And like what if that happened to me? I don't have kids right now, but I do have assets to protect,
Exactly.
loved ones to make sure, um, if ever, you never know, you can die in 29, 30, 50, 60, 70. Hopefully I live long and I'm blessed to live long in my life. But regardless, if I pass, I don't want to just like stress whoever I leave behind. And I believe that's what happened to you guys and your mom, and thinking about not even just being a widow, not having a
Yeah,
provider. Like, what would happen to my kids, right? So
right. I think that, like, you know something, Janine? My mom and I never really had, like, we have a, I can call her now. We could talk for 45 to an hour. I don't hold anything, against her that we've experienced, but, we never really had like a strong relationship, right? And I believe, my dad being murdered, it kind of affected her ability to parent a young man. Because in my
Mhm.
opinion, she did a great job, raised me like I never joined gangs, never robbed people, never shot, killed, any, never did anything like crazy over the top.
Yeah, you're
So,
amazing. You're doing so good with, like just knowing your background. Some people go in that direction. Either you strive or you become one, right? So for you, you really just like keep consistently, pushing towards like for your kids, for your family. Very
exactly,
family man.
exactly. Because it's I feel like children need both parents. They need the masculine and the feminine energy in the home because they both offer that kid something of value coming from them. So, you know, that definitely was something else that I had to learn about my mom too, like my dad being murdered and her just not having any money, having to, leave us at the house for my big sister to make sure that we could walk to school, lock the door, like she didn't get home until we were out of school already. So she would leave before we got up, like, write a little note or something, or, she'll tell Kiera, all right, here's what you need to do. So, if he would have had something in place, my mom wouldn't have been as stressed as she's been in her life because she would have had that. Although he's gone, it would have made things a little better for the future. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. And she was probably like in survival mode, and I need to provide.
Exactly.
From being a home person, it's a different role. Like when you're at home, you're thinking about logistics, like is the laundry done, the food is done,
Yes.
like versus being out there, you're thinking about like how can I get more overtime or how many jobs can I have in a day. So like it's definitely like shift his her mindset, and that probably plays a lot of the scarcity of having a young man in this
Mhm.
neighborhood. It's probably scared her.
It did. She prayed. I remember her just praying, praying over us like nights. She would just lay her hands on us and just ask God, God, keep my son protected, keep my daughter protected, keep my, my little brother like. So definitely, definitely.
So right now, if you would advise like our generation, and if they want to get started, right? They want to
Mhm.
get it started in bare minimum, like because like let's say they don't have that much money and they can only put
Mhm.
so much. Like, how can I get started now? What is the least I can put in order to build it up? And how
Right.
is it something that they can somehow increase in later on? Like, what
Mhm.
are the steps to get started at the bare minimum, and how they can grow it in the future when they get a better job, or have a better income.
Good question, Janine. Well, I always like to start before we talk about, quotes and prices. I like to educate people on what we're doing. So there's in general, there's two different types. There's multiple types of policies, but those
Mhm.
other ones are sometimes a combination of both these basic ones. So you got term life insurance. Term life insurance is good for X amount of term, hence why it's called term. So some life insurance carriers have 5 year terms, 10 year terms, 15 year terms, and on to where, if you're looking to buy a X amount of coverage or a face value or, death benefit, um, that policy or that agreement for the company to pay you if you got hurt or you were deceased, that policy, it's good for X amount of term. Now, the other one, the other general type of policy, life insurance policy, is called whole life insurance. Whole life insurance is good from the day you apply get approved at that age up until death, or with some companies, it's age 121. So it's called whole life. It's good for your whole life. You never have to, because once your term expires, you'll be older. So then you have to reapply, which is going to be more because you're older in life. Your health. I mean, God forbid, but just the reality, the older we get, that's the closer we are to transitioning. It's just the logic, right? So you would have to, reapply for more term coverage. But now let's just say, right now today, we bought a whole life policy, which is good for our whole life, death or age 121. Let's just say 30 years from down the road, you never have to reapply because it's good for your whole life.
Mhm.
Now, both those policies have different price values. The term is kind of like renting. That's like getting an apartment. You're like renting an apartment out, right? You're going to probably be in an apartment for, X amount. That's your lease agreement, right?
Mhm.
Now, it's going to be cheaper if you're renting, right? An apartment. Now, let's say you want to upgrade and then you wanted to get a house. That's like buying a whole life, right? So that would be more expensive to own than the term insurance. It's more. Now it's more for it costs more because there's an element or there's a feature called cash value, which I'm glad we're on this train right here because term insurance doesn't have cash value. There's something called riders, which is like an add-on to your life insurance where you can get return of premium. Your premium is what you pay the life insurance company to keep your policy active. So in other words, like your payment every single month, right? So now when you make this payment to your policy, let's say it expires, you can have what's called a return of premium rider, which after the term expires, the insurance company says, okay, you didn't pass away in this time frame. So what we're going to do, since you have this rider on your policy, we're going to give you back every premium that you paid. Now you got to pay for this rider. See what I'm saying? So it could essentially make your term more expensive. So it's up to, the client if they wanted to add on that rider. But I say add on because you're getting back dollars that you paid to where if you want it, now you could resubmit those dollars for another policy.
Yeah.
Now, cash value is, I don't want to say better because like I mentioned earlier, life insurance has its different purposes, like we're going to touch on, a little more. But the whole life has what's called a cash value, which means that every single time you make your premium payment into your policy, you can structure a percentage for your premium, your payment, to go towards the COI, which is cost of insurance, which is how much it costs them to insure you, right? Because essentially, when we make our premium payments to the insurance company, the
Mhm.
insurance company goes and invests the money into real estate projects, the stock market, um, bonds, all these different investments to be able to, flip the money, make the money, and pay the death benefit. See what I'm saying? So now, once you set up your policy to have a certain amount to go to the cost of insurance, you then have a percentage that's going towards your cash value. Your cash value is like your savings plan. So the insurance company, depending on what percentage of your cost of insurance and your cash value, you can determine, what percentage you want to go towards your cash value, which is cash that you can actually access while you're alive.
And
So I
I think that's the biggest stigma that, the biggest myth that they have in getting a life insurance. Like you have to die in order to benefit from it. A lot of
right,
people is
right,
not aware of different policy. Like you said, there's a hundred of different policies for business, individual, family, home. There's a lot of different insurances that you can get, but this two specific one, and specifically the whole life insurance, the and I really want to emphasize on this topic because this is something also I've learned. Like 2 years, 3 years ago, where I can really create more cash
Mhm.
value rather than just, like die.
Definitely.
To be honest,
Right.
I was one of those person. This is why it's so important. Like how can they utilize this cash value? How can they get it? What is the, I guess, rules and regulation in
Mhm.
order to take out this cash value?
Great question. Great question. I don't know why these topics weren't taught in school, but it should have been.
Yeah.
So, like you mentioned, Janine, the biggest misconception and why I believe 4 to 5 out of 10 people are underinsured is the fact that they believe that the policy is only valuable at death. That's not
Mm.
true. So there's a concept called becoming your own banker, right? And the whole life policy is the environment you use to become your own banker, right? And you become your own banker by utilizing the cash value. So let's just say, for instance, Janine, you had a whole life policy and I was the insurance company that protected you, right? So let's say, over the duration of your life, you funded the policy with $50,000, right? Over the course of, the policy. Or let's say you just funded it at one time yesterday, right? What happens is the cash value has mechanisms that create profits for you, dividends and guaranteed interest. Those are two things that your whole life policy is going to generate to you. So let's just say you've put in 50,000. You're going to get guaranteed interest and dividends from the insurance company on whatever is in your cash value, right? So now let's just say you needed to get access to that 50,000, Janine, like today to invest into your company, right? So what you would do is you would call up me, the insurance, not me directly, it's my company, but like, a rep in the company, and you would say, hey, I would like to apply for a policy loan, right? Not, I would like to withdraw. You would do what's called a policy loan. This is how you create generational wealth and how you become your own bank.
Yeah. I was waiting for you to say that. I'm like, becoming your own bank.
Yes, yes. This concept right here, right? So now let's just say that 50,000 that's in your cash value. Let's just say you're earning, just for our show's sake, let's just say 10%, 50,000. So what's 10% of 50,000? 5,000, I believe. I'm not.
Really, you're gonna do math with me like that?
Listen,
10% of the
look,
50,000.
let me do it real quick. So 50,000 times 10%, so 5,000. So now
Mhm.
that's what you're gonna earn a year on just your money sitting there, just
Mhm.
sitting there. If we put our money inside Bank of America, B of A, I'm sorry, but if we put our money inside B of A, you're earning 0.00001 interest. So on 50,000, that's like 15 cents. So
Mhm.
you've taken my money out, invested it, made probably 10 times that, and you're gonna pay me 15 cents. Highway robbery.
Mhm.
Period. So to get back on my topic, right? So now let's say you needed to get access to that same 50,000. Now keep in mind, you could have funded it yesterday or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You call one of my reps up like, hey, I want to do a policy loan. What the insurance company gonna do is they're gonna let you collateralize your cash value. They're not gonna remove it, right? And then when you put in the request for the policy loan, they're going to give you up to 90% of what's in your cash value in a check. Here's the good thing about that. When they send you that check, which was collateralized against your cash
Mhm.
value is still earning interest. So let's just say, you've had let's just say, the policy was good for 20 years. After that day, you just made 5,000 times 20. So you just made an extra 100 grand hands free just off your money sitting in this environment over here with the insurance companies, right? So now you don't have to apply. All you do is you call them and you put in a request to have your cash value collateralized. So now this is called velocity banking too, to where you put money in one place, but you're still able to get the majority of that value, and you're able to still use it somewhere else. So now let's say you call my reps and you get that policy loan. That's considered income. That's considered income. See what I'm saying? So now when you get this policy loan, right? Now you have liquid cash, but you also got 50,000 accumulating interest, right? Now, for anybody that's like me, you're like me, our host guys like he's like us too, right? Or anybody else that's like us who's smart, they're gonna think, well, what happens if I don't pay the loan back? What's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
Your death benefit will just be deducted from that cash value. So now let's just say, you wanted to be because you can like essentially correlate this to being a store owner. So if you took a loan from your own bank, it would benefit you more to pay your bank back. But what are the terms though for the payback? Simple interest. The company gonna charge you simple interest one time to get that policy loan. So you don't have no, you know how like when you go to the bank and you get a loan, you can have $1 million in the bank, but your credit messed up or your finances, you're not getting $1 million from the bank. See what I'm saying? So now, once you put in a policy loan, and you get the cash, all you have to do is just pay back a simple fee for the money that you borrowed. Now, let's just say you own the store, right? If you own the store, Janine, right, a grocery store, would you take the peas out the back door, or would you take the piece to the front register with your rep, ring it up, and pay as if you weren't the owner? You would do the second option, right? Because if you take the money or if you take those peas out the back door, you have to put more money to invest into what you lost because you took it through the back door. Instead of realizing that, hey, if I go up to the register and I pay for it with my person that I hired to ring up the peas, I'm putting money back into my store.
Yep.
So you will want to, or you don't have to, but I advocate paying it back, because that money you pay back, where is it going?
To you.
It's going right back to your bank, which you're going to still earn that 10% interest. So that's essentially what becoming your own bank is all about.
And then is this something like, okay, you said there is an interest that they charge you one time. This is my very last question about this topic. Do they have to pay taxes or anything like that? Government tax?
Great question, Janine. You asked some good questions. Now, remember how I said I put an emphasis on policy loan? There's something called a withdrawal. If you withdraw from your cash value, you get taxed.
So that's why you say policy loan rather than withdraw.
Exactly, because essentially your agreement or your policy is a business, like it's like a business agreement. So when the insurance company sends you that check, you can literally report that as income. See what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm not a tax specialist. I would refer to a tax specialist, but that income isn't taxed though. See what I'm saying? Because it's a policy loan, like it's a loan. See what I'm saying? But if you withdraw, then that's a little different.
Yeah. Well, so thank you so much for like really going in depth to it. I am sure a lot of people will learn from all this knowledge you just shared with us. And this is very important, especially we're going into 30s, people our age. I believe people, at least I pray to, at least in this time, we're getting more incomes, growing our bags and banks and assets. So this is really essential to really setting up your wealth, and like you said, generational wealth. And if anybody wants to like get in touch with you, what is the best way like to, call, touch base? Do you do discovery call? How they can get in touch with you and learn more about what you do?
Just call me directly, 346-592-3784. I'm open to, you know, I'm I don't sell financial products. I help or I advocate educating, So if anybody wants to be educated, we don't gotta talk about price or any of that. Call me, I can educate you. Once we're done, educating you, if you feel comfortable enough after we go through that phase, then we got step two. But once again, phone number is 346-592-3784. Give me a call. My email is Kyrie.Wright10@gmail.com. You can always shoot me an email. You can add me on Facebook. Just search my name right there in the screen, Kyrie Wright. I'll pop up. It's me with another guy, Kyrie Walker. He's one of the top prospects in basketball right now. In the background has like Baller TV. That's like some old work I used to do. But that's how you can reach out to me. Try to keep it before 12 a.m.
Past the bedtime, we're getting into our
Right,
30s.
right. Obviously, but like I said, I'm always open because, like I said, my dad being murdered, and I kind of want to share a quick story real quick before we go. But I also had a business partner who I did another small business with who was just murdered less than 3 months ago, and one of my other partners had to pay for his body to be flown back to his home country. He had zero insurance. So just because you're from another country don't mean you can't get insured. We can insure people that's from another country. So everybody can be helped. Reach out.
I guess it's just all about that, like asking question, like be so curious. Like some people are so afraid to ask dumb questions, and
Yeah.
like they think they're gonna be patronized for asking
Yeah.
questions. But it's nice to have. It's refreshing to have somebody like you that explains it step by steps, and being in the business for 3 years and having to encounter different scenarios and situation, you can ask them what is the best way based on their income, based on their situation and the direction they want to go. So yes, definitely it's great to have you. And I have one more question, and then
I
we're
love it.
gonna
If
end
you had
the
three more, that's cool. Shoot 'em. Then,
um,
I wanted to say too, though, there's no dumb questions. Whoever's watching this, there's no such thing as a dumb question when it comes to financial planning.
yeah, and I think that's a lot of like that's the main one of the main reason really people are like hindered from their success is
Exactly.
honestly a lot of the success is coming from failure, asking dumb question, getting curious enough to
Yeah.
fall on your face, look stupid in front of people.
Yeah.
Those are like the steps to success, and not a lot of people it's has the courage to ask dumb questions and fail and keep failing in order to get to there. It's part of it. It's part of the success. And I think just jumping into this, having the background
Mhm.
and the experience now, it's amazing like how far you've come. It's crazy because we've known each other for a while, so
For life, really.
yeah, half of our life. So coming to my last question, if being 29, hitting 30 this year, or you just hit 30, or you just hit
29.
29?
Just 29. 28,
Well,
29.
a year older than you. So hitting 30 next year, like looking back, and I always ask this to all of like the person I meet, like what is the number one advice to you? Like if you would give one number one advice to your younger self, having all those experience, having all those meeting so many people in your life, what would
Mm,
the advice?
mm. I would give, I would give this. Don't be afraid to make the wrong decision to the point where it keeps you from making any decisions. Because in life, we can overthink a move or a decision and be afraid to make the wrong one, so we ain't making no decisions. I'm just gonna stay right here. I ain't making no decisions. No, it's better. Now, I'm not saying be just, impulsive in your decisions, but don't calculate your moves, but don't let fear be that emotion that keeps you from making a move, because in life, it's better to be moving, right? And probably make the wrong decision and know, oh, I made a wrong decision, but now I know, right? You can course correct down the line,
Yeah, you
So,
can pivot, you can learn. I always say, like, you need to get lost a little bit in order to find yourself. Like, a
something,
lot of
Janine?
people wants to start perfect, or
Mhm.
maybe it's also comes from upbringing. Like for me, I'm always been like, even when I was young, I didn't care to make mistakes. I always like dancing and stuff like that. I used to dance a lot. I'm like, I didn't care. I sing in front of people. I dance in front of people. I was just like that person, and I never had this mindset that I have to start perfect. I know within time, I will be an expert. It's not something that will come overnight. The Rome is not built in one day. So I always,
Mm.
even when I was young, like I was just so courageous, like going into this talent show without any talent. You know? It's crazy. But, it's something that worked out for me when I was in high school.
Absolutely.
Coming from Philippines, and coming when I getting to America and being in high school with you, I was the one that did the choreography. I did in cheerleading, having from no talent to like leading the whole cheerleading team, and I did the music
Mm.
transition as well
Mm.
as the choreography. And I wasn't even a senior then. I was like maybe eighth or ninth grade. And
Yes,
usually in that position, only seniors can do it. But
exactly.
scary. No. Anyways.
He or she hungry? I think that's the hungry call.
About that. Good thing this is recorded and this is something I can edit. But thank you so much, Carrie. Seriously,
You're
this
welcome. You're
always
welcome.
been always a fun time having this, more in-depth discussion, more specific. And I asked the question that I think a lot of people ask in their head, and like all the dumb question I can think of. And and I think that right now, just be ready to answer a lot of questions from people. And this is something that you need to continuously advocating, because all of the questions that I asked is a lot of people ask those in their life, and just never just made a decision like you said. So I appreciate you making time, and I'm
It was
glad.
an honor. It was an honor. It's funny because yeah, I know you gotta go, but it's funny because I was with some of my guys on the team out here for the business that we have for the
Mhm.
test, and I was telling like, man, I gotta get to the house. I gotta be in the car to the house at 5:30 because I have a very, very important podcast to get on with a very, very prominent, beautiful, intelligent, enlightened woman.
Oh, that's kind.
So it's an honor. It's an honor, Janine, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I like, a lot of women don't really impress me, but you are a woman that impresses me.
Oh, thank you, Kyrie. And I learned so much from you. I learned so much. And I'm not even like, I just like finance is not my strength. Like, my strength is more like ROI, strategy, different
Mhm.
ideas
Yeah.
that we can implement in order to like maximize opportunities. But That's why I always, like, I can just talk to you for hours and just learn so much, and that's why we feed off each other, just having our strength. So I'm just glad this happened, and thank you, Guy, for letting us have this. I
Thank
will.
you, guys.
So thank you so much, and I think this is the end of the podcast.